During the summer, I wanted to play a platforming game, but at the same time, I wanted to play somewhat of a puzzle game, so I seen this game called Super Dangerous Dungeons through Twitter, and I was like, that looks pretty interesting from the graphic style that it was presenting, so I wanted to get my thoughts overall on my experience in this pretty small and pretty fun indie game. Are you ready, everyone? Now that's gaming. This game came out originally on Newgrounds as like a web-based version game. It was more like a small game before it came on phones, and that was a couple years ago it actually came out on phones. So until recently in July, it didn't come out until on PC since then. And well, I was thinking, how was the port going to be? Because sometimes ports can be, hit or miss. So I am really glad to say that for the most part, the port is pretty good. There are some missing options that I wish was, in the game, such as a volume slider for the music, so you can only really turn on and off the music, and also on and off the sound effects. So it kind of retains some of the phone type of settings where it's very basic. You have your full screen and then you have your windowed mode, which work perfectly fine. Also, this game has controller support. I haven't had any issues with that, which was really good. And one of the unfortunate things though is you can't keybind your buttons. So you can't keybind something that might be on your controller, and you can't keybind anything on the keyboard, so you're really pretty much stuck with the default setup, which is the arrow keys and just the jump button, which isn't like a huge issue with this game since the controls are so simple. You control this little guy Timmy, who is a thief, treasure hunter going into these dungeons, and over the course of the game there's over 50 levels, so there's quite a bit of content for $5. It took me around 2 to 3 hours the first time I played to do everything, and maybe like an additional hour in order to get the achievements in this game, which the achievement list is pretty short. And when I was just playing through the game, I was just having a lot of fun. It's just a game that you can pick up and play during like a coffee break, and can play it if you wanted to all the way through. But I think this is a game where playing like one dungeon at a time, then taking a break will pretty much satisfy that craving of a puzzle platforming game, where the puzzles come into this game are the environment. So this game is heavily based on traps to avoid. Since you're only really jumping, there has to be some type of complicated objects or obstacles that you will have to get through, and where all these traps in these dungeons, you have to maneuver around certain ways. Some levels are automated, so you have to wait for like the water to rise or for the fire to go in and out. And it was just a really fun time that I actually had with the game, especially if you are into speed running. This game has a trial mode, which I think I beat this game around probably 10 times at the moment. For something so simple, it's very addicting, oddly enough. I don't know why, maybe because it's so simple, or I like those types of games where I can just go through a game very fast. I feel like these days I am enjoying a lot of shorter games, so that's why probably I had a lot of fun with it. During the 4 dungeons, the difficulty kind of rails up in certain parts. I would say the second half, especially when you get to the extra dungeons after getting through the game, that is where most of the challenge is. I didn't find it particularly hard. That's not to say I didn't die a lot, because I did die quite a bit when I was first playing, but after a while you start to get used to a lot of the timings and whatnot and how the game plays. And thanks to the controls feeling really solid when you're jumping, there's like very few issues I actually have with the gameplay. I guess this goes into a gray area if you like a game that's pretty easy and pretty simple, or if you like something more complicated, it might turn you off, or you just might enjoy something like this, just something casual, just taking a break and having just a short burst of fun, which is, in my opinion, can be a really nice thing after coming home or relaxing from hard work. I do wish the bosses were more thought out, since all the bosses consist of running from the start to the finish. There is no variety in the bosses, and that was like one of the major things that could be improved. Maybe having more of a puzzle aspect for a couple of them instead of having just to run through these dungeons, through these traps. It would have been fun to see a little bit more variety in that. And I guess that also goes into some of the other cons. I kind of feel like when I was playing through the game, I wanted to mention that there's a lack of sound effects for the traps. It's not entirely noticeable until you really like take the time out, and it's not until I was playing it like probably during my fourth time, it's like I noticed something was a little bit off, and all the traps that actually, you know, activate, or all the traps that you had to pass through, they don't have any sound effects, and I feel like that would add a lot to the game. I know I play a lot of these games, and I know a lot of people, especially if you have a hard time hearing, having these sound effects can be very beneficial, because there are some parts where I feel like I died due to not like noticing the sound, and only after beating the levels repeatedly that I just memorized how everything was. So yeah, that was something that could definitely be fixed. And while we're on the subject of sound, the music was pretty good. It's like nothing memorable, like nothing that I would remember for, you know, years to come, but it's nothing that was like horrible or anything. And there are different musical tracks for each dungeon, and during the boss encounters you have different things, so that's entirely fine. But I wish the music was a little bit more catchy. For $5 US, I would definitely say if you want a short casual experience to, you know what, pick it up. I don't think you'll be disappointed with it. Just don't expect like anything super crazy. And if you just want to play something that's very calming, relaxing, and at the same time can offer a little bit of challenge, then I really don't think you'll be disappointed. I definitely had a lot of fun with this one. So what are your thoughts on like basic platforming games, or games that only take a couple hours to beat? Do you like games to be a little bit longer for yourself, or do you really prefer games to be shorter, or does it really depend? If you want to let me know in the comments section below, that would be pretty cool. I would like to just see what everyone else thinks about like length of games, or like the difficulty and whatnot. And if you did enjoy this video, I have 2 other videos I think you will enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.